So Dave, he's looking at this. Right? Okay.
Coach, we are ready whenever you are.
All right, Brent. All right. So as far as the injuries go, Clyde is really the only one that didn't practice today. Everybody passed their COVID that's on the active roster. I'm gonna just say a couple words about Coach Madden. I mean, literally a couple words, because he was the absolute greatest. And so I think that's all. Everybody's had their say on it. I think you realize how much he touched the football world, and all of us, made our job, what it is today as a coach, made it an honorable position to be in. And heck, it's hard to be a Hall of Famer, period, but let alone be a Hall of Famer in two different areas. That's phenomenal. And he was that. With that, I probably need to just address Matt House's situation. So congratulations to Matt and his family. They've been honored to go to LSU as the defensive coordinator there. It'll be tremendous for Coach Kelly. It'll be tremendous for the Tigers. We got a bunch of them on our team, so they're excited for him. However, he will stay here throughout the season. So I know there were some questions on that. And he will he'll remain with us throughout. I'd also like to just say that our prayers are with the Madden family. They're great people, phenomenal people. So our prayers are with them, as the whole NFL is with their family. With that, listen, we have the Cincinnati Bengals that we have an opportunity to play this week, and we cherish that opportunity. They're a heck of a football team. Very, very well coached. They've got great players, some good young players that are great players and have a great future for the National Football League, which is great for the NFL. So we're preparing ourselves. We started yesterday. We worked today, and we'll keep on working through the process, as we go throughout the week. So with that, time's yours.
Let's go first to Vahe. Go ahead, Vahe.
Hi, Andy. I'm really sorry about John. I know he was important to you. I wonder if you could just reflect on when you first met him. I think it was when you were in Green Bay, and maybe how you got so close. And I will have one follow-up, Brad, if I could.
Yeah, it might be because both of us like to eat. And so, we had that passion, obviously, by our body type. So, he invited me on the bus one time in Green Bay. I got to ride through the parking lot on the bus, and thrill of my life. Mike Holmgren was real close to him. So I automatically got kind of I literally put in the bus. So, but, California guy, I'm from California. We had a couple things that were a little bit the same there. So, yeah.
Well, and then the other part, Andy, I believe he was sort of enough of a mentor to you that he was part of your decision making when you chose to come to the Chiefs. Is that correct? And can you just clarify that?
Well, he loved to hate the Chiefs, but he loved the Hunt family. So, but I mean, he'd tell you that they had some knockdown dragouts. He could about remember every play. So, but he said it's a great organization. The Hunt family is phenomenal. He'd always remind me to tell Norma Hunt hello. So he just he liked him, but he didn't like him.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Coach, a housekeeping thing, and then one other thing. So you said all the players have passed in the 53-man roster. Is that originally would include Fenton, Watts, Butker, Townsend? Are they good to go, or are they out of that?
No, they were all out there today. Yeah,
got it.
All out there. Yeah.
And we have kind of seen through different articles written about John nationally that you were part of a subcommittee. I just was wondering what that was like, what that meant to you, and maybe what tangible examples you see in your own aspect of coaching that maybe you derived from John.
Yeah. So after he got out of the TV business, broadcasting business, and then Roger Goodell invited him back to the league, and we always had a small subcommittee. There were just a couple coaches on it, and but we ended up having the Madden committee, so we had like 6 to 8 coaches on there, and he headed that up, and he was great. I mean, he was he was really into the rules, the regulations of the game, what made the game better. He just, that's how he wanted to touch the game at the end there. And it was, the commissioner's insight to bring him in and to let him do that. And we all just rallied around him. We were like little kids following him around. So, but hey, what a great insight. Football, just football junkie.
Let's go next to Herbie Tiopi. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, I am so sorry for your loss with John. I know you guys were tight, but my question is on Tyrann Mathieu. I know that he left Sunday's game with a quad injury. What are you hoping to see out of him this week, and how do you look today in practice?
Yeah, so Herbie, you know what? He feels great. So we ended up taking him out of the game at that point and took him up, and just the trainer started working on him right away, and he came back the next day. He was great. So I mean, we all know he's a tough kid, but and loves to play. But at that point in the game, we had enough of a lead there where we could do that and just kind of get it started. And boy, it made a huge difference. Yeah.
Got 4 left. We'll go right down the line, starting with James Palmer. Go ahead, James.
Andy, I'm curious about how, I don't want you to give anything away, but your philosophy of making your quarterback successful against the blitz. It's not just Patrick who's good at it. It's ones you've had in the past. What's always been your thought of just finding ways when teams bring extra pressure on how your quarterback should be prepared to beat that pre-snap and then within the play?
Hey, you know what? It's such a big part of the game today. When I first got in the league, I mean, blitzes were relatively simple, but these defensive coordinators are, I mean, they're so creative. So they're bringing people from everywhere but the popcorn vendor or one of those deals. So you've got to spend time on it. I mean, there's no easy way around it other than to do that. I've been blessed to have great offensive line coaches that spend the time doing that, quarterback coaches that love it, and quarterbacks that love it. So they get in and they're willing to sweat over it for a day or two to get it right, so they can perform with it on Sundays. I mean, there's no easy way around it other than that.
Go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Andy, I have two questions for you, and they're about John. Just what is your favorite memory of being with John? And you've always said that you are a teacher when it comes to being a football coach, and that was obviously something John was passionate about. Just what do you feel like John taught you most about how to be a teacher when it comes to getting players to get better?
Yeah, well, he was a player's guy. I mean, he would talk to them, communicate, and he did the same with us, with the fans on TV. I mean, that's what he did. So that's why we all loved him. He kind of taught us the game in a simple way where everybody felt like they could go play, and so that was great. One of my favorite stories is we were at a restaurant one time, and I told the waitress, I came late to it, and they'd already eaten. It was he and Tom Coughlin. They had already eaten, and so they go. The waitress comes over, who was actually the chef and the waitress, and she said, "What would you like?" And I said, "Well, just give me one of your favorites." And Coach just goes, "Oh my gosh, for a Forktarian, you just blew that. I can't believe you're in the Forkman Club and you can't." I'm like, "What are you doing?" So she brought out duck confit, and I didn't live it down to the day he passed. You mentioned about duck confit. I can't believe you're eating duck confit. What are you doing? That's one of the many stories, but he never let that die. This was like 5 years, 6 years ago. So, and every time he mentioned that story, and he could tell a story a lot better than I just did. So he would get right into my ribs on it. So.
We'll go next to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy. Well, now I actually have a real quick one first. Where was that story? Where was that restaurant?
Yeah, well, it was actually at the combine.
Okay.
So, yeah. I don't even know the name of the restaurant, but it was at the combine. And
Okay.
yeah.
And then I had another question about, we talked a lot early in the season about these deep shells that you guys were facing. You guys are still seeing them. It's just you've been more successful against them. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, I mean, we saw a bunch of it Sunday. So, but teams are mixing more than what we think. So we're seeing some shell, we're seeing some single safety middle, we're seeing some man. They throw a lot of stuff at you. So, and this crew is no different. I mean, they've got a whole package that that they really execute well. A lot of these teams that run a lot of things, they'll mix them up and have problems with. This crew here does a great job. Their defense coordinator is must be a phenomenal teacher. I've never worked with him, but it looks like he does a great job teaching. So, but just practicing through it and knowing, knowing how to check down, where to check down, all those things become so important. Route runners, knowing how to play within zones becomes important. And being on the same page, and then the offensive line's also got a part of that. So it's not one, it's not one person. I've said that from the get-go. It's not one person that makes you roll there.
Well, last Steve Walls. Good, Steve.
Hey, Coach. I want to ask you about Joe Burrow. I know you primarily, watch the opposing defenses, but he was AFC Offensive Player of the Week last week, over 500 yards passing. Just want to know your thoughts on him as you see him on film.
Yeah, he's a smooth operator. He does a real nice job. Looks like he's smart, well coached, and he's accurate. He's got some good wide receivers that he puts it up to, and they do a nice job too. So he's great for the National Football League right now. These young quarterbacks, man, we're so lucky to have them in this league, and looks like we might have a couple more coming in this next year. So it just makes the competition so great, and that's what this is all about.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you guys for asking too.
All right, guys. We got Patrick walking in here in a second.
Okay, perfect.
Hey, Patrick, got us?
Gotcha.
All right, we'll kick it off first with Sam McDowell. Good, Sam.
Hey, Brad, I've got a couple things. Patrick, I asked Andy this, but early in the season, we were talking a lot about the shells that you guys were seeing. And I realized that there's other defenses you're seeing as well, but a lot of shell on last Sunday. Probably a few things here, but what do you attribute your guys' success to late in the season against that type of defense?
Yeah, I mean, first off, just seeing it a lot, you kind of figure out answers and stuff that you can do to combat and have more success. And then I think just finding that happy median where you're taking shots still and attacking, but at the same time hitting the guys underneath, and guys are creating a lot of yards when they get the football in their hands, like the running backs, tight ends, and receivers. So just getting the ball out of my hands, getting it to those guys, and letting them make plays.
And then I wondered how it came about that obviously you participated in the Madden documentary that was last week, and I just wonder if you could tell us how that came about.
Yeah, I was shooting the for the cover shoot thing that I did with Tom, and they asked me if I would want to participate, and I said 1,000%. I mean, the impact that John Madden made on not only the NFL but me and a lot of the players here in this league is tremendous, and I wanted to show my respect because I mean, such a great person and a great leader in the game of football.
Let's go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Patrick. Byron Pringle was saying after the game that you were kind of in his ear, and maybe some of the other guys last week. Hey, this could be your big opportunity if Kelsey and Tyreek don't play. So now that those guys are back, what's your message to those other receivers this week? Now that everybody's back.
Yeah, I think the guys know that. I mean, any game could be anybody's week. Obviously, we have Tyreek and Trav, and they get a bulk of the workload kind of throughout the week and stuff like that. But guys step up and make plays every single week that change the outcome of the football game, and they know that, and they come in with that mentality at practice. And so I just tell them to keep doing what they've been doing, keep having great practices, stacking great days, and when their number's called, be ready.
Next to Harold Kuntz. Go ahead, Harold.
Patrick, how are you doing? 2 questions for you. One, just your initial impressions on Joe Burrow as you're about to face him. I know you're not facing him defensively, but just your initial impressions on, because you said after the game, I think he threw for 1,000 yards in the game. And then also, I want to ask you about just Madden in the video game, for your generation, kind of what that meant to you, how much you learned about the game of football from playing that game, and then to meet the guy, or not to play the game, and then to know all about John Madden, what that meant to you.
Yeah, to your first question with Joe, not only is he a great football player, I think he's a great leader. He has that special knack where he can lead anybody, and no matter where he's at, he can go out there with that swag, that mentality of I'm going to win no matter what. And it takes a lot of experience, and it takes a lot of just going out there and doing it for people to believe that. And so he has that as well as the physical talent to go out there and make a lot of stuff happen. And then as far as John Madden, obviously made a huge impact for me. Playing the video game, kind of learning football by playing that video game growing up. A lot of memories from when my dad was beating me when he had Randy Moss and the Vikings, and making me cry in the back game room and stuff like that. But to get to meet him and hear and talk with him with Coach Reid, and he was still watching film till to his final days. He was still watching our film, getting a feel for what we're doing and giving insight. And that's just the type of guy that he is he truly loved the game of football and loved the people that the NFL had really that were in the NFL. And he's truly a special person.
Let's go next to Vahe. Go ahead, Vahe.
Hey, Patrick, this is probably hard to answer in some ways, but if you were trying to tell a friend how you guys went from 3-4 to winning 8 in a row, what are the first things that come to mind besides just grinding?
Yeah, I think it was just staying with the process. That was the biggest thing. No one held their head down. We knew that there was a lot of season left, and everything that we wanted was out in front of us. And so our guys came in with the right mentality every single day to get better. And we're sitting where we're at now, but the job's not finished. We still have to try to find a way to get this number 1 seed, playing 2 great football teams these next 2 weeks, and then try to make a run in the playoffs. So we understand that it's not done yet. It's been great these last few weeks, but we still have a long ways to go.
We got 2 more. We'll go James and then Pete. Go ahead, James.
Hey, Patrick, with that said, I'm kind of curious where this patience comes from that you have, because you kept telling us throughout the weeks that you were just going to go through the process and you guys were going to stick with it. You wanted to play the best football by the end of the year. And it seems like that corner's been a bit turned. Where do you have this patience in all aspects of your life? You're a new dad. Do you have it, do you have it there? Where does this patience come from to stick with something?
Yeah, I think it just comes with maturity and experiences. If I was a little bit younger in my career, I might have been trying to force the issue and try to make a lot of big plays happen. But just from learning from those experiences, when I've been trying to press too much or whatever it is, I've learned that just trusting my teammates, trusting the coaching staff, the plays that are getting called, get the ball in my hands and let guys make plays. At the end of the day, it's all about winning. And I thought we've done a great job of that these last few weeks of just finding ways to win football games. If it's offense, defense, special teams, whatever it is. And I think that's what you need whenever you have a great football team. And we'll try to keep that thing rolling.
We'll go last to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Patrick, my question is on Travis Kelce. You haven't played a lot of ball without Kelce, and you had to do so last week. What was that experience like? And then if you could just describe how his mood was finally being able to get back to the room and get back to work.
Yeah, he was excited. He was annoyed that he couldn't be back in the building. Even the day after when we came back and we really have an off day, but the guys come in to watch film and he couldn't be in the building. He was still annoyed about it. He loves this game and he loves being out there with the guys and being able to play. So it crushed him not being able to play with us. I thought the guys stepped up. I thought the tight ends did a great job blocking and catching the football. I thought guys like Pringle, McCole, Tyreek even got out there. And he was just off the COVID list. So he was exhausted out there just trying to do what he could to contribute. It was a total team effort. Offensive line did a great job giving me time in the pocket. We went out there and found a way to get a win. And that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Patrick, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we got Chris Jones. Will be coming our way in a little bit here. We got to track him down. Chris, you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear.
Perfect. All right, we'll get started. We'll start first with Adam Tusher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Chris, couple things. Just wondering what that was like for you, having to sit out the Chargers game, as big a game that was against a division opponent. What was that like for you? Brad, I'll have a second question as well.
It was very tough dealing with the situation, especially not being able to play the game I love so much and being out there to compete with my brothers in a divisional game, a very important game where I feel like I could have been used. But on the bright side, we went out there, we competed, we played hard, and we was able to solidify a win.
Okay. And Chiefs have a lot of good pass rushers, I know. But the 3 games that the Chiefs haven't had any sacks this year, the 3 games in which you didn't play, anything you could put your finger on why you guys aren't as productive without you in the lineup in those 3 games?
I can't pinpoint anything. I just try to do my 111. Hopefully we can generate some sacks this week and keep this thing going.
Next to Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Chris, hope you're well, man. The Chiefs tweeted out a video clip of you mic'd up from this past Sunday's game, and I couldn't help but notice or hear you mention John Madden's name a couple in that video clip. What did Madden mean to you and even to your teammates growing up, and how often did you play Madden?
I've been playing Madden ever since Nintendo 64, I think Madden 98. I think that's the last cover John Madden was on, 98, 97, somewhere in the area. Madden's been a significant part of my life. It actually brought me closer to football, Madden, because I always wanted to play with myself on a game. And, his name, his legacy speaks for itself. I think he's 101 and 32, some crazy number like that. Only lost like 30-something games, and what he was able to do for the game, his love for the game, how he's his perspective and how he viewed the game. It impacted not only players but coaches and other individuals around the world. And give my gratitude to his family and his significant others.
Next to Harold Kuntz. Go ahead, Harold.
Chris, 2 questions. One kind of a follow-up on Herbie, but, John Madden always talked about being an all-Madden guy. Did you always see yourself when you were playing football as being an all-Madden guy and that kind of the characteristics that follow that? And also, just what is it like just coming back when you don't practice for a certain amount of time, coming back from COVID? What's that like? I know a lot of guys have to go through that across the league. What is that like for you?
I like to view myself as an all-Madden guy. When I play Madden, NFL, the video game, I play it on all Madden. So in that perspective, I kind of view myself as an all Madden guy. And this COVID thing is, it's a challenging situation. Man. You're forced to miss so many days, and you come back, you try to be in a rhythm. It kind of takes you out of your rhythm, so you got to find that balance right there. And you also got to stay in tune with the game and what's going on. Watching film, staying in tune with the new calls that's being presented week in and week out, and try to be relevant while you're quarantining. So it was a challenge itself, and also trying to stay in shape. You don't really have the strength, the endurance that you had before, and you're trying to find that balance. And I'm still trying to find that balance now. So try to get better each day.
We've got 3 more. We'll go right down the line, starting with Sam. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Chris, to kind of just follow up on what you just said there, just the process of trying to stay in shape, I guess that would lead me to ask, as much as you're willing to share, did COVID take it out of you when you were dealing with it? How bad did you feel during
that? It brought me its own challenges, the usual congestion, body aches, it presented me its own challenges, but still overcoming. I'm doing the best part I can do for this team to make sure I can play my 111 on this defense and put myself in a position to make plays.
Last 2, go Pete and then James. Go ahead, Pete.
Chris, I might go as far as to say that this line as a unit might be playing the best as it has in these stretch playoff runs. Do you sense that? And what do you think is the key for maybe where you started the beginning of the season to where you're at now, where it just seems like to be very, very relentless?
I think our best is yet to come. I feel like we got a ways to go. I feel like we're still striving as a unit to get better with chemistry in some areas. But I feel like we continue to go upwards and we continue challenging, getting each other better at practice and make sure that's translating to the game and competing at the highest level. We got a lot of competitors in this room. So, I think that mind frame right there will, at the end of the year, we'll continue going up, maybe so for the playoff, and we'll see where it takes us.
We'll go last to James Palmer. Go, James.
Hey, Chris, the quarterback you're going against in Joe Burrow isn't really considered a mobile quarterback, but really from your guys up front, the way he moves within the pocket and the subtle things that he does to avoid the rush. What are the difficulties of a quarterback like that? Because he kind of does it with those small movements to make you guys miss and still looking to not just go downfield, but make explosive plays when you guys can't get there on the first try.
Listen, that we can't take it away from the guy. He runs a 4.7. He's versatile, but he has a great arm. His arm talent can be comparable to Justin Herbert or Josh Allen, the big throw guys like that. Got a lot of arm power. Accuracy is some of the top in the league. And he has his way of getting out of trouble when needed. So we definitely got to be correct on our angles this week and the way we collapse the pocket for this guy. He can be challenging at times, at all times. He can make all the throws. He can make the tight throws. So we got to do a good job at containing this guy, keeping him in the pocket, getting pressure on him in his face, whatever we can do to affect this guy, because he can be a game changer.
Chris, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys, that is it for today.